we have a rabbit to talk about today. And at this time of year, lots of people are thinking about Easter bunnies, but we don't talk about Easter bunnies. We talk about year-round rabbits, because rabbits are wonderful year-round pets. And not just for 1 year. We've had bunnies that have lived as much as 10 years as pets in homes. And they make wonderful pets. This little bunny is wearing a harness, which means that I could take him for a walk up the street and have him enjoy the nice spring air, maybe having a little nibble of clover as he went by. But in the house, most of the time, our house rabbits are just hopping around at liberty, having a wonderful time. That doesn't mean they don't have a cage. And this is a dwarf bunny. There's different types of bunnies. This little fella isn't going to get a whole lot bigger than he is now. And a dwarf bunny is designed to be a tiny bunny. He's not going to be more than 4 pounds. He's going to have little ears, although if he were a show rabbit, they'd be a little smaller than this. And if he was a lop rabbit, his ears would hang down. And lots of pet rabbits are lop rabbits. But this little guy's ears are designed to go up like the bunnies that you see outdoors in your yard. He is listening to all the spring noises just as you and I are, and enjoying it, and thinking that this is the beginning of a very nice year for him. The bunnies that we keep as pets in the house do need to have a cage to confine them when they are not being supervised. Bunnies are particularly good at chewing electric wires, and your very best furniture, not anything old that doesn't have any value. They prefer expensive stuff. So when you have the bunny out hopping around, be sure that your electric wires are up where they cannot get to chew them. I don't know why they're so attracted to electric wires, but they really do like them. If you have a cage in the house for a bunny like this, you'd want to have it as big as you possibly could. When we're doing these videos, we're just using temporary equipment because this bunny doesn't live in my house. He lives in the store right now and will soon go home with somebody as a super wonderful pet rabbit. This little bunny can live either indoors or outdoors in the Washington, D.C. area. Outdoors, you would want to have a protected shelter for it so that it doesn't get soaking wet when it rains, and so that it can curl up inside a box in the winter when it's really cold. Outdoors, the only real problem I have in the winter is that the water bottles freeze, so you have to put your water bottle out every morning and bring it in at night because it will break when it freezes. Indoors, please give your bunny as much space as you can. Yes, it can run around the house, but you also want to have a crate that it lives in that hopefully has a pull-out tray, because even though you're using the litter pan, you do want to have a backup for cleaning the cage, and a clean cage is a wonderful thing. Bunnies don't smell, but in fact, dirty cages do. Treats from the garden and treats from your refrigerator are fine. So you see, even though Peter Rabbit liked carrots, this little bunny is much more interested in talking to you today than eating a carrot. And as always with any pet, please get a book. A book, rather than just the information you're seeing on the internet, is important. It covers way more things than we can do in a few minutes. And it's something that's been edited, so it isn't just one person's opinion. Rabbit food is now designed for both young bunnies and older bunnies. And so, since he's only about 10 weeks old, he's going to be eating young rabbit food till he's about 6 months old. After that, we'll switch him to an adult bunny food, which has a much higher content of Timothy hay. But regardless, he's always going to get Timothy hay to eat, because hay and maybe some orchard grass and maybe some alfalfa is something that bunnies need for their digestive tract. You know, their teeth grow all the time, just like rodents. They're not actually rodents, they have a double set of teeth. But their teeth grow all the time, and if they don't have nice hard things to chew on, why, those teeth overgrow. And one of the things that you want to look for when you're checking a bunny that you're considering taking home with you is how its teeth look. Handling a bunny is something that is very important to know. You don't just pick it up. I always hold the loose skin on the shoulders and then support the rear end. and then your bunny feels comfortable and secure. I'll flip him over so that I can look at his teeth, and he says, "Oh, I don't think that's a very good idea." Could you please let me show your teeth to everybody? Well, I don't know that you're going to be able to see much, but his teeth match up very nicely, and so they're not going to overgrow and be crooked. You also want to look at his eyes to see that his eyes are nice and bright and fresh. Bunnies' eyes don't tear like ours do, and so you do have to keep an eye on them. If they get something in them that they can't get out, that can be very irritating. So if your bunny's rubbing his eye or anything else, look real quick to see whether that's something that needs attention. A bunny brush is a very important thing because bunnies shed. And because they groom their fur, just like a cat, they are also prone to hairballs, just like a cat. So if you will brush your bunny's fur routinely, you'll get all that dead hair out, and the bunny won't ingest it, and you won't have to worry about a trip to the vet to deal with hairballs. Hairballs are definitely something you would like to avoid. Bunny has been sitting here with his harness on for quite a while now, so let's take your harness off, and that went around his head to start with and then around behind his front legs. And we're going to tuck him into his carrier while we look at the rest of the equipment that you need for having a bunny. Hay is sort of messy, and so I like to put it in a hay manger. That hangs on the side of your cage and dispenses the hay much more gradually. You can just stuff it right in there. You're still going to have hay on the floor, but oh well. Water bottle, yes, they can drink out of a bowl, but a water bottle keeps the water clean and fresh and easily accessible. And you want a bottle that's about this size for a dwarf bunny. If you have one of the larger bunnies, like a lop that can go up to 18 pounds, get 2 bottles. That way, if one runs out, he has a backup. A holder for it if your cage needs it, but for most of the wire cages, this little wire arm will hold the bottle on the outside very nicely. Food for a bunny can be in a bowl, but I really like hoppers because that feeds the food down and keeps it nice and fresh. So get a hopper that'll work on your cage. And the best thing about bunnies, they will use a litter pan. When I took this bunny out of the cage this morning, his litter pan had almost all of his waste products in it. Urine completely, and with the exception of a few little bunny raisins, everything else was in the pan. So he is what one would call a nice housebroken bunny. The litter that you want to use is only the clay litter. Please don't use clumping litter. Bunnies will eat a little bit of it, and the clumping litter will expand into a brick in their stomach, and you'll get into trouble. So look specifically for the clay litter when you are dealing with your bunny's litter pan. We haven't talked a whole lot about trimming nails on birds or guinea pigs or bunnies. And so I thought we would do that today because it's very easy. Bird toenail scissor or a cat claw scissor is the ideal item to use. The first thing I do is get my quick stop out because, like so many other nails, there's a blood supply, and I don't want to have a little trail of blood around after I do my bunny toenail trimming. The toenails are hidden in fur, and because he's a baby, we're just going to take the very sharp tip off, and I wouldn't normally cut the toenails on a baby bunny unless they were so sharp you just couldn't stand them. And as you see, I'm holding the end of the nail on my finger, and because of that nice hole in my scissors, I can easily just snip the end off regardless of what the bunny says. Front hand, a little bit easier to do, and the real trick is to be sure you're finding all the toenails in this pretty fur that he has. If you're choosing a different breed of bunny than a dwarf, think about how big it's going to be. This little dwarf, as I said, isn't going to be any more than about 4 pounds when he's fully grown. If you have a lop, you have choices of Holland lops, which are going to be just a little bit bigger than the dwarfs, regular lops, and mini lops. And so you have a whole range of choices of size, so know what you're getting. If you want a nice long-haired bunny, because you're a spinner, and that's the only time I would suggest getting a long-haired bunny, you want to be looking for an Angora. And an Angora bunny must be groomed every day to keep its fur from matting. When those fur balls get matted on the skin, it's really very hard on the bunny, and you just can't get it out easily. So I hope that you have enjoyed learning a little bit about bunnies. We hope that if you choose to have a bunny, it will be a very long-lived pet and be a very good member of your family. Thank you for listening to our bunny story for the day.